a blue from a young player. Made a couple of errors in the whole situation. One, to play the game. Two, to try to sweep it under the carpet. We'll deal with that accordingly and appropriately. But got a game to prepare for on Saturday, which he won't be a part of. VFL don't play this week, so we've got a bit of time to sort that out.
Have you spoken to him? Is that personal?
Briefly.
The fact that he swept it under the carpet disappoint you more than the fact that he went out there?
Oh, look, I can understand. I think it's a very human thing to try and sweep things away. But it is an important part of it. The integrity of how we communicate to each other is more important than anything external. So that'll be part of it. Yeah.
How do you deal with it? How do you get in? Obviously, you'd be involved. How high up does it go? Past you, or what? What happens?
No, look. While she's the director of footy, and he'll deal with it mainly. The leadership group and myself will be involved in it. But the way we deal with it now is we focus on Saturday and worry about that when we get to it.
Where's he at with the car?
He full trained today.
What's the protocols on players doing extracurricular stuff, basically?
It's common sense, I suppose, which is not always so common. But if I think there's things in contracts around anything that could injure yourself or anything that could put yourself in danger. I mean, in the end, we're all hands on deck in here. Like, everyone is fully focused on the next 6 weeks, and these opportunities don't come around all the time. The time just continues to go past you, and opportunities don't always present. So you've got to make the most of them when you're in them. So, speaking broadly, for us, this is where we're at, and we need to take advantage of every opportunity.
Barring a suspension, would he be ready for selection next week?
I believe so. So he just completed his first full session for the last month. He has been ill and hadn't been able to complete sessions over the last week and a half to prove his fitness over the calf. But we'd anticipate that he'll be available, and we'll be asking him to do everything possible to be involved in our campaign, whether it's helping to prepare the senior squad or being a part of it.
Given you've got such an injury list that has been mounting over a while, is that sort of the most disappointing thing, that you need all hands on deck and he's a guy who could fill an important role?
Oh, if he was fit and he was at his best, he would. He may help us, but he hasn't proved to be in that space for the most of the year. So we've been able to get the job done without Braden for most of the year. So I think that's a fair message for a young fellow about what he needs to do.
Does he need to? Is it a penny drop kind of thing for him?
You'll have to ask him, Pete.
And would suspension be an option you consider, or do you just?
We're probably 8 questions into something that I thought that I'd get one about. Does anyone want to ask about the Crows?
Yeah, who fills in for? No, I'm joking.
For he wasn't in the side, mate, to start.
Josh, is John Noble a chance to come in?
Look, he is, and he's played some really good footy. We'll travel 24 across. We trained, pretty well today, and we felt like the 22 from last week are up and about. So we feel like we've got a little bit of continuity over the last 8 quarters of our campaign, and I know that we need to, we'll be picking our best side clearly to take on a side that are playing for their finals lives and played with real intensity last week.
Well, it's important because you've got 2 games to go and a top 4 finish for the season is at stake, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose, the games for us, they're qualifying finals of some sort, whilst it's in our control. So we're under no illusions about where we sit. We're in a very similar position late last year and saw every game as an opportunity to qualify as well as we possibly could. So it's no different now.
Do you Jordan Roughhead play, that sort of Mason Cox role, I suppose, or forward role again?
Yeah, he looked all right. Yeah, so I mean, we know we've got flexibility in our squad to be able to either push him back or to leave him where we had him last week. I think that he actually filled that role pretty well, and our backs held up largely. Up until three-quarter time, Melbourne only kicked the 3 goals, so I think our defensive mechanisms worked pretty well. But we know they'll be challenged by Adelaide.
Do people expect a bit too much from that role that Ruffy's playing out that Coxie had before, when really all you want mainly is a contest?
Yeah, look, I think external expectations are one thing. The players are really clear about what we expect internally, and an aerial contest is a major part of that role. We'd love the boys to hit the scoreboard periodically and take their chance when it comes, and they generally do. But I think that Brody Mychek played a similar role, but hit the scoreboard, hit 4 goals on the weekend. So I think that it's a tough caper in front of the ball at times. It's off the back of clearance work often. It's off the back of how well the team defends, and we always seem to look at the offensive elements of it. But there's the key element of Ruffy's role is around his aerial presence, and he brings that in spades.
Dakes is all right?
Yeah, he got through. Yeah, trained really well today. Yeah.
To go even closer?
Yeah, not far away. He's, continuing to ramp up with his speed work today. And so we were, obviously whether he was going to get to around 23 or not, and he's still got, 2 or 3 main sessions to go to prove his fitness for that.
Now we know that.
Oh, you go.
I know the coaches off the field are a very close-knit community. Have you phoned David Teague yet? Congratulating.
No, not as yet. I mean, I heard the scuttlebutt like everyone last night, but I think the press conference was held whilst we were out in the track. But we interviewed David to come across here leading into the 2018 season, and he chose the Carlton opportunity in front of here, and thought he probably would have looking across the fence at us, probably would have thought maybe I picked the wrong horse, but I think he's had the last laugh. He's probably picked the right one.
You've performed probably better in the last couple of weeks, closer to the style that you want to play.
Yeah.
Is this a real test this week to see whether that can hold up against probably a better performed team?
Yeah, look, I've got no doubt that it is a real test, but the test is largely against ourselves. To play the brand that we want to play. I mean, clearly the opposition have a say in that, but we know that there's still a lot of upside in what we can bring, and to travel across to a foreign venue and to be and a copper side on their home deck that are it's going to be whatever it takes mentality. It's a really good position for us to be in, to be challenged in that regard at this time of the year. And we're not going there expecting that we're not capable of firing a few blows ourselves and being the first the side that's proactive and aggressive with the way that we go about it, because that's the way we see ourselves. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
Is it a little quirky or odd that you haven't played them in 17 months?
The draw's all over the joint, but we actually haven't been back to Adelaide Oval since early last year, since we played them there. So, it's a lot can happen in that time. When last time we went across, they'd played in the grand final. Late this season, the season before, they'd beaten Richmond by 80 points the week before. So I mean, it was a fairly daunting challenge when we headed there last time. So it's a ground that we're pretty familiar with and have pretty fond memories of our last couple of games there. So we're looking forward to it.
Is there a temptation there, Hull, to go in more back to maybe the first final, just to give them an extra couple of weeks to be cherry ripe, or do you just play them when they're ready?
No, we want to win every game we play, and I think that we need to give ourselves the best chance of finishing top 4. So if we had players available, we'd play them.
Just Matt crutch last week because he got a stack of it against West Coast. They
Yeah.
let him run free. Would you lock down on him, or did you have a look at that?
Yeah, potentially. He and Brad are getting a lot of the ball. Obviously, Rory Sloane was up and about before having to come off in that game. The midfield is looking strong, and they're as intense in the clearance as anyone. So their pressure's high. So we once again we know that there's always a player in the opposition that tends to get more focus externally from the media potentially than most. But we like to look at them as a squad, and they've got a really strong midfield squad that we've got to look after.
Thanks, Bruce.
Cheers.